Oh, good morning, Chameleon Wranglers, and thank you very much for your patience. We had a lot of fun with getting connection on this one. So, all right, just taking a look at who has joined us in the chat: James, Two Turtle Tom, Howard, and oh boy, Eliza, and oh Tia, hello from Finland, and Nicholas. Wonderful, thank you very much, Anina. Oh, Anina, are you from Finland as well? I'm I'm suspecting it. So, oh, Ranunculus, hello. Let's see. Do I remember correctly? Ranunculus is Ron and Stephanie. Hello. So, no, Ranunculus, you are Christoph. Christoph, Michael Nash, wonderful. Oh, we have a great crew today. Okay, well, where are my manners? Oh, from France. Oh, I just love all the international people joining. I need to introduce you to my co-host here, Sean McNeeley. I know many of you know of Mick Zoo because he's been around. Hello, Jason. So, all right. Let's today we're going to be talking about. Well, first of all, okay, let's do some pleasantries. Sean right now is at the Tinley Reptile Show, and Sean, can you give us like a 2-minute summary of what that show is?
Wow, Tinley is huge. It's twice as big as any show. About 1.5 times as big as any show. As big as the Pittsburgh show. It's the biggest one I've been at so far. It is. There's lots of people there. I got VIP passes. The VIP time frame was the same amount of volume as the Pittsburgh show when it was regular, and that we thought that was very busy. So at 10 o'clock, when everyone was let in, the place got crazy. We left a little while after. Jen and I were there to start with. Then I went back with Mary for a little while, and we only got through 2/3 of the whole thing as we sprinted through it. And Mary and I did the last third in an hour and a half, and then I was dragged back to this show. So it's a huge show. It's mostly reptiles. There's not a lot of extra stuff there. Reptiles, amphibians, and arachnids and all that kind of stuff. Not a lot of nonsense there, but there was still some stuff that I'll talk about Wednesday or next or in sometime on my show. But the neat thing was it was like each booth, each row had something all the way to the ceiling or almost to the ceiling where you couldn't see beyond it to see the rest of the show. So you couldn't even tell how big it was, and it kind of arcs at an angle. It's kind of like an arch, and you can't see the other side of it. So I didn't even know how long it was. Jen and I just ran to the other end as we got ready to leave to be back there. So it's awesome. It's cool. I met Dave Kaufman for the first time, although I've been a Patreon fan of his. I met him there. The people from Snake Discovery were actually I saw this huge line in the entryway. I'm like, who's there getting pictures? And they were dressed in pink, and they were there. I didn't get to meet them or even get in the line because the line was like, I don't know, 200 feet long. But they were there taking pictures with people, and I saw a lot of other people that I somewhat recognized from other stuff, but I wasn't able to pick them out. But no, it's awesome. I just can't keep myself from buying everything there. So it's bad, Bill. It's going to be bad. Next time on Wednesday, I'll admit to what I've done. But at this point, I haven't bought anything yet. I've kind of put my eye on a bunch of stuff, and I'm just going to have to stop.
Okay, wonderful. Yeah, I'm going to have to get to Tinley one of these days. So, all right. So for every you, the topic of today is the Kenyan Xanth project. What was it, and what are the lessons learned? How did it go, and what are the lessons learned? And I'm going to go ahead and give a brief summary of what it was for the people who weren't around 5 years ago. I had an opportunity to bring in bloodlines of the yellow-crested Jackson's chameleon, Troceros jacksonii xantholophus, from Kenya. Now, we in the United States got a lot of Jackson's chameleons from Hawaii, and that they were naturalized there. And so the thing was that the entire population on Hawaii was populated by a maximum of 36 individuals. We don't know exactly how many, but we were told 3 dozen. Now, what does that mean? And how many of those actually survived? Because they were looking pretty beat up when they got in. This is in the 70s. And then they were put out into the trees to recuperate. Well, when the pet store owner went back to the trees to get his chameleons, they were all gone. And fast forward a couple of decades later, now they're all over Hawaii. So that entire population was built up by, at the most, 36 individuals. Now, that's the information we have. We're assuming that there were no other imports because, I mean, Hawaii slammed it shut and said no more of this garbage. And we in the United States were flooded with Jackson's chameleons because they were being brought in from Hawaii. Now, the thing we were noticing about the Hawaiian populations is that they were smaller. The horns tended to go wonky. And this is, I mean, there's no mystery about that. It's a genetic drift. I am doing some light study. And so what I'm relaying to you is not my deep research, but just general magnitude. There's this 5,500 concept where if you want to start a population, and I believe this is for humans, you need 50 individuals to avoid inbreeding. You need 500 individuals to avoid genetic drift. Well, I'm sure that's different for chameleons because they're not as complicated as we are, but let's just take that as a magnitude right now, just so we are working on it. And so that means that we didn't even get enough for this population to avoid inbreeding. Now, once again, these are chameleons, and I'm sure that the effects of inbreeding are not as strong as in humans. So let's just take these as general numbers, not written in stone here. But we were seeing that drift. And I remember when I was in the 90s, early 90s, I wanted to start a Jackson's Chameleon breeding project. And it was so hard for me to find Jackson's chameleons with straight horns. That was a big thing. Well, fast forward to 2018, I believe it is. I had an opportunity to bring in, not me personally, but work with an importer to bring in a shipment from Kenya. And he was saying, you know what? I really don't want to do it because how can I sell them? It's expensive to bring it in from Kenya. And there's always these cheap Hawaiians on the market. And so I said, hey, listen, I'd like to try to communicate to do a campaign to communicate to the community how important it is to have the good genetics. And none of this is made up. It's all true. And I would like to see Kenyan Jacksons before again. That's how I started back in 1980 or something like that with the Kenyan Jacksons. I'd like to see those again personally. And so we agreed if I could get enough people to join this project, we could bring them in. And I wanted to take this opportunity to see if we could establish a population of Kenyan Jackson's chameleons, and I mean the Xantholophus, in captivity, knowing the big challenge that we would have to educate the community on the value of the Kenyan bloodlines and the value of captive born, live birth, of course, because we are going to be competing with wild caught Jackson's chameleons from the Hawaiian bloodlines. Now, someone was going to say, hey, it's illegal to bring them in from Hawaii, and you are absolutely correct. And yet, we had a lot of them. It's only been recently I haven't seen them just like cages full of emaciated Jackson's chameleons at these reptile shows. Now, whether those are coming from Kenya or from being ranched from locations in the Southeast, I don't know. Let's just say somehow they were getting here. And so that was whenever you start a breeding project to establish a species, there's these market forces you got to take into account, because where am I going to, me and the rest of the breeders that are working with us, where are we going to sell the babies? If people say, yeah, but I could get this Jackson's for $65. Why should I pay $200, $150, $200, $250 for yours? And the problem was compounded by these companies that would bring Jackson's chameleons in from wherever they were getting them. It wasn't the Kenyan stuff. And then the females would have babies in their facility. And so they weren't ready for the babies. They don't want to take care of babies. And so they'll sell those babies for like, what, $50? And yes, on we on Facebook, we have the Jackson's Chameleon Community Facebook group. We would get these all the time. I just got this baby chameleon and he's not doing well. What can I do? And we look at it. Oh my goodness, how many days old is that baby? And so, although you could argue, wow, that's nothing like holding a Jackson's chameleon back and giving them at 4 to 6 months old, that's higher quality, right? But that's with a sophisticated audience. An unsophisticated audience only has price to go off of, and this isn't to put them down or anything. This is when you don't know what to look for, you look for price. That's all you know. And so the big challenge was, number one, how do you communicate to the community the value of, well, number one, genetics, and number two, the captive born? Because those of us in the breeders group, the collective, we were holding our Jacksons for at least 4 months, and many of us would hold until 6 months. And so you were getting a well-started Jackson's chameleon. And there's this 3-month rule where Jackson's chameleons die after 3 months. And that's generally if you're keeping them in a group and you're not giving them nighttime drops. And so we would keep them beyond that point specifically to get around this. I don't think it's a physical or a genetic thing. It's a husbandry thing, but we held on to them longer. And so now you have added cost into this. And so the challenge is, well, can we educate the community, enough of the community, to support a group of breeders breeding these high quality bloodlines? And so that was the challenge. Sean, let's go ahead. I just want to hear from you. So everybody, Sean McNeeley is here because he was part of that initial group that bought in. And so maybe Sean, could you give some ideas? Why did you join that group? What did you have in mind? What were your thoughts about the starts of that group?
Actually, Bill, I was not part of the original group. I joined a little bit into it. I was in the second import.
Oh, that's right.
Because I did get some of the original group from you, and babies from you that were the wild caughts and some of the born. But then I also got some more imports from your importer, who brought in the Jacksons. And so, but I looked at it. I was excited about it. I was part of the chameleon enthusiasts. I was excited about chameleons. And I actually got one of the first babies from, I don't remember her name. One of my oldest male chameleon, oldest or longest had male chameleon that I've had in this round. I've had several rounds of chameleons. I got out of them for a little while and got back, but was from one of the babies of the Kenyan Xanth group. But then you sent me some of the imports later on, and I actually got my own imports from the same team that imported them for you or somebody else who was out of Texas. And I had my own. So I just want to get into it because I want to be involved with it. It was an awesome thing to do and a great situation. And I just liked the whole idea. I didn't care about the money. I didn't care about the prestige. I just wanted to do it because it seemed like it was like, you have these chameleons like quadricornis and some of the others that have gone out. They came in, there's lots of them that you could get, and you get them all wild caught. And then as soon as the wild caughts went away, they all dried up. And so I wanted the Kenyan Xanth to stay around. I love the horns. I mean, you see my logo is partially a Kenyan Xanth. It's also, a quadricornis tail and some other parts and pieces there color-wise. But, it was 4 different chameleons I put together for that. But I just wanted to be part of saving the Kenyan Xanths if Kenya ever decided to shut its doors. Now Madagascar opened its doors back up. It had shut its doors for a long time. And, but the panther chameleon had been really well established. Other chameleons like the brevicorns and some of the other ones that I have now weren't well established when Madagascar closed its doors. So it was really a neat idea, a neat opportunity, and a thing I could get involved with and be part of.
Okay. Well, I knew that the biggest challenge was going to be communicating to the community the value of this and bringing providing an opportunity for the breeders to be able to sell the babies. And of course, that's a little bit difficult on social media these days, because if you're caught selling things, your account gets shut down in the middle of the night. And so my strategy was that I was going to create, first of all, a Facebook group, which is still going strong today, the Jackson's Chameleon community, going very strong. It's a very successful group, but originally it was for the Kenyan Xanth project, and it was to bring people together so we could all be in one place and talk. And what my intention was that would be the central place where people would find the breeders and be able to be sent to a special website. And I created an entire website, jacksonschameleons.org, something like that, dedicated to Jackson's Chameleons. And it was a complete deep dive into their husbandry. The intention was that you could go there and you could find out all the information you needed. And I was going to have breeder profiles. And so the breeders would have a profile. They would say what they were working with. And then I would update it as to when people had babies available, and we could keep track of the genetics. And so that was, I thought that would be, I wanted to try that because I thought that would be a first attempt at solving the biggest problem that we had, and that is educating and then connecting. So, and I would say I put it into place. We had the Facebook group, which took off quickly, and I launched the website, and it was the most in-depth, detailed place for Jackson's Chameleon husbandry, which was very nice. Now, so the question is, how did it go? And so go ahead. I'll just go right into how it went. We got the Jackson's Chameleons in and dispersed them to the breeders. And this is an incredible quality shipment. I mean, these guys were just pristine, incredible animals, and they were huge, and they were beautiful and healthy, and it was just incredible, wonderful. So we all got a great start with them. The Facebook group was going very well, and I was able, through podcasts, videos, and on the Facebook group, was able to communicate the value of the bloodlines and the captive born, as well as saying, watch out, because the captive born that are days old are a bad idea, and you got to wait until they are months old. And this group that we are with we all agreed we're going to sell them at 4 months or older. Now, we all know that it's not really the age, it's the size. And so depending upon the husbandry that they got and the time of year that they were born, some would grow quicker than others. And so it wasn't like, if you don't do it at 4 months, you're a horrible person and we will disown you. This is just a general rule, and you've got to use your judgment. And as a breeder, you can use your judgment, but somewhere around there. And I would say it got off to a slow start. They certainly got a good attention, and the message got out there. Whenever you say anything on the internet, you always got people who want to say you're wrong. And so we had a bunch of people saying, no, there's no difference between the two. And it's like, what do you do with this? Of course, there's going to be a difference. You're talking about a genetic bottleneck. How can there not be a difference? And everybody was getting very defensive about their Hawaiian Jackson's Chameleons. And so we had to say, it's okay. It's okay. They're good as pets, and they're healthy. I mean, they've been born into nature, and nature makes sure that they're strong, but there's still genetic drift. They're two different things. So it actually went pretty well. Now, we did have some challenges as far as, the pricing challenges. We knew we were going to have the pricing challenges. we could sell a certain amount at $150, $200, which was the minimum to break even. Now looking at it, I knew that wasn't that 200 is probably the minimum to break even, but easily, yes, especially since we're encouraging individual raising. And so so the sales did go slow. That wasn't a surprise. We knew that that would be a challenge, and that education of the community will take time, and it did. The website, very happy with the website and the information that it provided. The breeder profiles didn't go as easily and as well as I had hoped. I found it exceptionally difficult to bring people together. People were saying, "Yeah, okay, that's a great idea. We'll participate," but nobody sent me any information. People from Sean and Alicia, people from my immediate friend group would do it just to make me feel better. So thank you, Sean. But from the general community, no one provided their information. And I don't think it's because they were mad or I didn't want to do it. It's just it is something new, and it wasn't. They didn't totally understand exactly how it was going to work. And so I took that as Eliza Ann, it kind of is. Mm-hmm. But I took that this all of the thing is not okay. It's your fault this didn't work. This is all a learning experience for me. And so I looked at all of that. And I said, okay, how could I do this better? Because all these people agreed with what I wanted to do, but for some reason they didn't find the time to do it. And so they didn't. So I did not effectively communicate the value of something like this. And I will say that really the burden of proof is on me. Whenever you do something new, the burden of proof that it's going to be worth other people's time is on you. And if people join your project because something that hasn't ever existed before, it's because they trust you and they believe in your thing. I've had a number of projects where I have people joining in, not because they understand it, but because they say, all right, Bill, we'll support you. We don't know where you're going with this or how it's going to work, but we'll support you. And that's how a lot of projects start. And this one, I did not do a good enough job proving that this was going to work. And so that's a lesson learned for me. If we're going to be setting up a system, I need to do better. Now, that said, I'm not sure exactly what I could have done better, but I'm still...
Bill, let me break in here for a minute, Bill. The website was incredible. I loved it. I jumped on board. I don't know what you could have done better. Really, I mean, it didn't work. I think the only thing you could have done better is picked a different species that had a bigger price tag. That, like a panther price tag, double or triple the amount. And because there were so many people willing to buy the wild caughts, and there was a big there was not enough ability for people to actually see the importance of the captive bred. Although I sold a whole lot of them because people bought wild caughts and they died after I told, if I was at the shows, and I said, when yours dies, just give me a call. And I was like, I wasn't being mean, but I was like, this might pass away because it's a wild caught, but here's my card if you ever have any questions or anything. And they would ask me questions, but then their chameleon would die and they'd ask me, and I'd give them a captive born Kenyan bloodline, Kenyan Xanth bloodline. And it was great. It was perfect. It was just that there wasn't enough people paying attention to this particular species. Whatever it might have been the timing or what have you. I don't think there's anything you actually did wrong, except for maybe picking a species that, people could get at any reptile show. There's three species. The panthers, the Xanths or the other Jacksoni, and the veils. You can get it in any reptile show, and so you can get them all. So if you pick something off the beaten path a little bit, I think maybe it would have done better. But at least in the sense that, but we didn't know much about all those things, and this was a passion project for you, and so I understand completely. And I still will breed Kenyan Xanth, and I have only since I started again, which was 5 to 7 years ago, I started with my going crazy on chameleons. I used to get those, and I used to go to the shows, so I've been going to them for 30-something years. And I used to get the wild caughts or whatever it was. I didn't know wild caught versus whatever. But since I started 7 years ago, I haven't had anything but Kenyan Xanths. Because I understand the importance. I listened to all your shows. The people didn't quite pay enough attention, and I don't think it's your fault. I mean, you could have, taken out $1 billion ad at the Super Bowl and told everybody, these are the Kenyan Xanths, come save them. But the problem was the fire didn't start. There was no one pulled an alarm. No one said, no one called 911 about the Xanths, because they kept coming in, and they're still coming in. Not as often as they used to, but they're still coming in. But if you got a species like your new plan, I think that's going to take off. I think that people are going to really love that. And, as much as Madagascar may shut down or start again, it's important. And yes, I saw something in the chat. Sarah Barron was who I got my original Kenyan Xanth from. That was a baby, an was it F1 from the imports, from Sarah Barron. But she's, she used to sell a bunch of them. And after she used to be very picky about who she gave them to and everything. I had to show her all the stuff that I knew. And, I still have Thor. He's, 4 or 5 years old now, almost 5 years old now. And so it worked. I still have one. So that's and I have the ones that you sent me and some that I kept to my own. So it worked, but it really was good.
I will say that, well, first of all, I've been able to sell the Xanths, and so I am able to sell them at the $150, $200 range. But that time that I got one female gave me 50 babies is like, okay, that was too much. And so there was a definite limit as to what the market could handle, as well as they only wanted males. Very few people wanted females. Some did, but that was more difficult.
But females are the nicest chameleons.
Oh my goodness.
I don't think there's anything better than a female Xanth.
Oh,
there's
so
no
cool.
other chameleon that I love my quadricornis. They are awesome. But there is nothing like a female Xanth. I still have a few of those. I'm going to keep them forever. So,
and to answer Eliza Ann's question, does the website still exist? Yes, it does, but not as the website. I folded that into the Chameleon Academy. I took the entire website and put it into the Jackson's Chameleon profile on the Chameleon Academy. That is why you go there and you go, oh my goodness, why is this profile so intense? Well, that's because it was an entire website, and I folded it in. So you can still get that information on the chameleonacademy.com website. That's true. Let's see.
To answer Two Turtle Tom, he says, want everything, buy nothing. I say buy everything, want nothing. So that's my plan. I'm going to have to sleep on it because I'm not buying anything till tomorrow. So let's hope I have a good dream that doesn't that allows me to not do stuff. So
yeah, and here's Two Turtle Tom. If the thousands of yearly Kenyan imports would stop, I have a feeling it would be a higher demand for captive-born Jacksons of any subspecies. This is the challenge. Whenever you want to start a breeding project to establish a species in captivity, you have to start when imports come in. And so it's like no matter what it is, you've got to start when it's difficult to start. And that I don't know how to get around that other than to make a deal with some country to get a species that hasn't been shipped in for decades and won't be shipped in, and you get the only shipment out, and so it retains its value.
So I think we need to do that for quadricornis, Bill.
Okay.
Make a deal.
Okay. Sure. I think that's a great deal. But also the problem with the Jacksons is because they still keep coming in. The Hawaiian bloodlines still keep coming in. Now, I don't know that they're coming from Hawaii. They may be coming from somewhere else, but we still see them. Now, I haven't seen them much lately. I don't know what's going on. So I'll just say, who knows? Now, let's see. We got Eliza Ann spoke with Carol from Fram's Cans. Said she felt it didn't continue well because fighting against big box pet store prices is difficult, plus the temperature drop. And so what Eliza Ann or Carolyn was talking about is that Jackson's Chameleons do need a temperature drop. That's difficult for a number of people to incorporate. Now, those of us who are serious, we just get an air conditioning unit. People who are not serious are going, wait, I got to buy an air conditioning unit and use it for a room? Yeah, you do. That's the thing about Jackson's Chameleons. There's this like quantum jump that you have to do if you're interested. If you're interested, you can get a Panther Chameleon or a Veiled Chameleon. If you want to do well with the Jackson's Chameleon, the entry requirement is a little bit higher, and so that is true. And I think this project, Jackson's Chameleons are one of the most incredible species of chameleons, and I think we've just been spoiled by having them, and so we don't realize what we have. It won't be until Jackson's Chameleons are no longer available and a generation of chameleon keepers grows old and dies and is replaced by a generation that's never had Jackson's Chameleons, and all of a sudden they're going to be $1,000 chameleon. But so it's all about timing. So that may have been a huge part of it. Perhaps if I did this project 2 years from now, whatever the conditions are 2 years from now, it would just go like gangbusters. Who knows?
Timing may have been a big part of it, Bill, because I was able to get more Xanth from different locations that were imported after you started the project than you were able to in the original project. I kept getting them every 3 to 6 months. There was another import.
Yeah, and that was strange.
And it was like, but it was timing. So, there hasn't been that many of them now. You keep looking at the websites for the importers. There just hasn't been that many imports. So I don't know what happened there. It was like, they started pumping more oil to drop the prices until you stop pumping your own oil, and then they drop it down. So it seemed like the importers were trying to wipe us out. I don't think that was purposeful, but it was one of those situations where I was able to get more from that weren't even part of the project, get them in and have them, but then so was everyone else.
The thing you never can tell. So, but as for where it stands now, the original Facebook group is going very strong. Oh, we get a lot of activity, and you guys can check us out at Jackson's Chameleon Community on Facebook. And we have a very good group of administrators that are highly experienced, multi-generational breeders. I'm working on the third generation from that group. And I've really slowed down, but I still have them, and I am enjoying them greatly. Sean, of course, has some. I know. Steve Hefner. A lot of the people from the original group still have them and are enjoying them now. And I think the education was very successful. It's now common knowledge that there's a difference between the Kenyan bloodlines and the Hawaiian bloodlines. I think there's a greater appreciation for the captive born. It's very hard to measure this with numbers. It's just a feeling I get looking at the activity that goes on the beginner groups. And Sean, what do you think?
Absolutely. I agree. There seems to be, the Jackson community is growing and growing almost as fast as the reptile enthusiasts or the chameleon enthusiasts. And it's, you see new people every day joining the group and staying in the group and talking about things, and people are excited. So I think it was a great move. and I think you've really moved husbandry a little bit further. People know a Kenyan versus Hawaiian.
Yeah.
People know about the night drop. They know about raising them individually. They know about the stress. They know about the death things that happen under the 4 months, which is really kind of raising them individually and good lights and temperature drop. But people know about it, and they're out there, and there's a lot more out there than there used to be. But it's still one of those things where you have to get a whole country of people, 300 million something to talk to. So you've got some headway, but you got to keep running.
Yeah. One thing that was a very interesting experiment was earlier this year, Frank Payne offered Kenyan Jacksons, and Frank is well known in the chameleon community with his work with carpet chameleons and such, but he also has ties to outside the chameleon community with the general lizard community. He works with a wide range of species and has a great reputation, and he had babies, and this was a perfect way to test where the market stands right now. I will say I was disappointed to seeing how challenging it was for him to sell those babies. Now, he doesn't necessarily have he was going to the wider community, like Sean and I, we're in the Jackson's chameleon community. And so we always see the people saying, oh, anybody know a breeder? So we have those connections. I wanted to see what Frank would be able to do with the broader reptile community, who, by the way, may not know about the Hawaiian Jacksons. And he had a challenge selling them, which was disappointing to me. I'm not sure exactly what that means, but that was unfortunately, that means that he'll probably, I haven't talked to him, but I imagine he would not spend time breeding them again after this experience, which is it's unfortunate. It shows that they really, we made a lot of progress, but it's, I don't think that, we can't say, okay, we established them in captivity. It just didn't. If they disappeared, stopped being imported at this point, I don't think we'd have them for another 10 years. Of course, taking away the Hawaiian thing, but I mean the Kenyan bloodlines. One thing I will say is I learned a tremendous amount about presenting to the public. I think a huge win was creating the husbandry reference. That was, and the Facebook group, the website and the Facebook group together, that was a powerful combination. The breeder portion of it, I need to figure out how to do that better. And so, you learn, you get the blocks together, and I'm trying again, as many of you know, if you've been on my lives, I am working with Kaluma O'Shaughnessy, the shamrock chameleon. And so in about a year and a half, I'm going to try this again. I'm going to try to establish O'Shaughnessy here in captivity. And we'll see how that goes. I'm going to take all of the lessons learned from here, going to do the educational references. I don't know what I'll do I don't know if I need a Facebook group on that. We'll see on that. So everything that went into the Kenyan Xanth project feeds into what we're going to be doing next, what I'm going to be doing next. And so it was a great experience, and I loved doing it, and I'm kind of continuing doing it quietly. So those are my lessons learned. And so maybe I'll guys, what questions do you have? I'm going to turn it over to Sean to give me some commentary from his perspective, but go ahead, put some questions about lessons learned in here, and then I'm going to go to the chat, and we'll address a lot of these comments and questions. But Sean?
Someone noticed that she talked to Frank Payne about his Xanth, but he was his last. She bought his last one. But I hope he knows that the Xanths can lay live babies up to a couple years after they've been mated. So
Oh
there
yeah,
may
who knows?
be 3 or 4 more
He may not be
clutches
out of
that
them.
he has to deal with. I had some of the wild caught ones that I got in started to lay, drop their babies, and every 6 or 8 months or a year or more. It's been almost 5 years, and I still got a clutch from. I don't recently, but I got in clutches with my original import female. 5 or 6 clutches, I think it was total that she had. So those can be that way. I think that the Shamrock Chameleons are beautiful. I think they're going to go very well. I think that they're a great species. The wild caughts are catching a lot of money as well. So I think it's a good idea. I think it's a species that's around and about, and we're able to keep them. And so I think there's a very positive thing. I think eventually you'll have to have a group for the Shamrock Chameleons, but I think that can wait. I think the first thing you need to do is get them, get yourself breeding and get a few other breeders, and then I think the thing that is important is building that second group.
Yep.
Where do you get the babies to the second line breeders who breed the captive borns together? That's the next step that we didn't get done with this one. Although I am officially a second line breeder because Sarah Barron was my first person that I was a first line breeder, and that was my first Jackson Chameleon of the recent time. So Thor is the parent to the F2s. So it's good.
Okay. And we'll got to say hello to Jim Reckmost. Hello, Jim. And Lay is saying, is it true that cams are invasive in Florida? I'm from the UK and saw a horrid video on YouTube. Yes, they are. There are populations of veiled chameleons and panther chameleons. I have heard rumors of Jacksons being here and there, but I haven't seen a whole lot on that. Now, as far as girl was collecting them and then someone said they kill them, that's pretty morbid, and that would disgust me. Since they are invasive, some people talk about killing them. Like, I know they talk about killing Burmese pythons that are invasive there. I haven't heard about people specifically going out and killing chameleons, although human beings are horrible things, and so I don't recommend breeding human beings. They're just horrible. And so let's see, do they just kill them? Talk to Frank too. Person from purchased a Xanth in June, and it was his last ones. Yeah. But yep, as Sean says,
unless he sold the mom, it may not be.
Oh, all right. Let's see.
You want to make a cameo, lady?
Okay. A while ago, Jacksons were coming from Hawaii, but all the animals I see online being offered today, last 2 years, are for Kenya. Are the Hawaiian animals still being sold? I don't know, Tom. I really don't know. And it's difficult to really put a finger on it, and people aren't going to be admitting to it, because it's, number one, illegal to ship them from Hawaii, and it's illegal to create captive populations in the United States for the purposes of harvesting them. So I'm never going to know for sure what's going on. Now, I will say I haven't seen the typical cages full of chameleons sitting on the corner of a table at a reptile show with Jackson's chameleons like I have in the past. So that may be drying up.
Unfortunately, I have, Bill.
You know what?
I've seen tables of Jackson's chameleons like that.
Okay.
Here in Ohio.
All right. Wonderful. Specialize in showing videos of hunting invasive reptiles. Yeah, okay. I would definitely not be watching that. Okay, Eliza Ann is saying, what adjustments will you make for the Shamrock breeding project based on what you learned with the Xanths? I will start a lot sooner. If you notice, I'm talking about it now, and I'm not going to have anything available for 18 months. And so I am starting the community right now at the core. And I'm not blasting it off to everybody saying, hey, look at this great thing to come involved. And then what I do and what happened with the Xanth project, you get a lot of people that get initially excited. Wow, that's great. It's a great project. And then they get involved and the excitement dies. And then they're saying, okay, it's just another chameleon. Do I have to sell them now? So excuse me. And so to avoid that spike of interest from people who may not have been interested before, and I found out later, some of these people, this is their first chameleon that they got a pair. They got because they were so excited to be part of something, which is good. That's good. But it was bringing in people who weren't experienced, weren't serious, and in a way I needed a certain number. So it wasn't like I could be really, really picky to be able to do this. But one difference is that I'm starting now before over a year before anything's available. And I'm only talking about it on my lives and on my channels. I'm not broadcasting it to the regular world. And so the people that are hearing about it now are the people that are dedicated enough to chameleons that they want to spend an hour listening to me talk about chameleons. I mean, that takes a special person. So, so I am slowly building up the community, and I will slowly start developing educational resources over these next 18 months. And so by time there are some available from me, I mean, there will be sporadic wild caught available, and people may get that, who knows. But when they get them from me, they are going to have 18 months of warm up time to really think it through. They're going to have all the educational resources that are going to be provided at a slow drip over these 18 months. And so when they are finally available, I hope to have a F1 group of both keepers and breeders that have really thought about it, have planned for it, have decided, yes, this is really what I want, and are confident because they've had all of this information, all of this support, and they say, okay, I really want to do this. I believe in what we're doing. It's not just something I'm going to do as a flash in the pants and say, "Ooh, this is fun," and then the reality is, oh, do I got to feed this thing still? So that is what I'm going to be doing differently as far as starting this. Now, as far as the pulling the breeders together, that's something I'm continuing to think about. I like the idea of small batch breeding, which is a network of breeders that have 1 to 2 pairs, and they treat these 1 to 2 pairs pet quality, and they don't plan on expanding beyond that. And so I'm working on how I can encourage that network and how I can facilitate that network. I mean, if it's these breeders just want to breed and they don't necessarily want their name out there and dealing with the public, then perhaps they could go through me. I can be the face of the collective. I don't know. I've already talked with one person who said they'd be very interested in being part of this project. They'd be very interested in breeding, but they are not interested in dealing with the public. And so perhaps that's something that I could do because I am dealing with the public many times a week in live sessions. I'm interacting. And so that's what I do. Perhaps that's a way that I can help this happen. So I'm still working on how I will deal with creating a breeder network that sticks together instead of everybody just, I mean, the animals just dispersing and they disappearing into the ether, and who knows what's going to happen. Because my goal in this is not to just sell the babies I create, I reproduce and have available. My goal is for the second generation breeders to sell the babies that they reproduce. That is my goal. So I'm really doing a lot as far as figuring out how we can do this as a community, because really that's what it requires. People will buy a species and get involved with the species if it's part of a community, if they feel like they're part of something. And I mean, every chameleon is cool in its own way. So you can get people excited about every chameleon. There's just something about each one that you can say, hey, this is cool. So beyond that, it's how do you have people come join it and feel like they have friends, they have community, they're part of something. And so that's what I'm working on. And so those are the two main things I'm thinking about doing differently. And I'm choosing a species which is, number one, kind of available, and two, is usually sold at a higher price. I mean, I've seen a number of places sell it for $600, shamrock chameleons for $699. That is a sustainable price. Now, can we sell 50 of them at $699? I don't know. That requires a whole lot more community behind it, because for us to be successful, we will be producing a whole lot more of these. And so the challenge is, what kind of customer base and community can we create? Where can we create a big enough one with people who value this species enough that they will pay the price that it takes to breed these chameleons? And that's the big question. Okay. And it says, also, what things will you do that are the same for this new project? We'll try to create a community. I mean, that's really it. I wanted to create a community that's big enough. And if we as breeders all stick together, and by that I mean we talk with each other, we interact with each other, we have some central town hall center, which was the Facebook group for the Xanths. But with the Xanths, we had some interaction, but a lot of the breeders weren't involved with the Facebook group. They were just off with their own outreaches. And so there was a lot of individual things out there that did not take advantage of the momentum that having all of us together would. And so I'm going to try to build up the breeder base slowly, so we all are interacting and we can build off of our momentum. So we're going forward together. That's right. All right. Here's hoping. I really want a female. Eliza Ann, you want a female Xanth? Well, maybe we can deal with that.
That should be easy for you to create, Bill.
Yeah. Let's see.
He's also very good at creating what do you call them? Veiled. So if anyone needs veils, let him know, because I'm not going to take any more. I didn't take any from him, but I've already had my veiled.
Okay. Alonzo. This is the guy with those very cool pink panthers. It's asking, what is your opinion for a new breeder that is working with a new locale or species? What could be the best approach to introduce this new project to the chameleon community? This is where social media is an incredible tool. And you start when you have the animals, the parents, and you continue to talk about this throughout incubation, and give the parents names and continually put them up. The key to the acceptance of a species is familiarity and people wanting to be part of that project. Yes, there are some chameleons that you don't have to do anything. Parsons chameleon will never. Nobody's ever going to get bored of Parsons chameleons. It's huge. It's an incredible chameleon, and it deserves all of its attention. First, for minor, you see those females with blowing up with color. You don't have to do much, but the problem is you want to have a deeper appreciation for species than just, wow, look at those colors. Because for if somebody just likes the chameleon because, oh, look at those colors, well, then they're going to fall away to something else just as quickly. And so you need to establish a community of people that appreciate a whole lot more. And this is why I love when I do my live sessions. The people who keep coming to my live sessions, I know those people are serious because I see the same names over and over again. And I say, okay, these people are going to stick with it. And so that gives me confidence in the small numbers of people. You know, there's wide. I've got 27,000 followers on Instagram. Well, I mean, how many of those people are there just because they saw a chameleon shoot their tongue? And how many of those people really are invested in learning about chameleons? And so that's what I'm. You need to develop a community of people who are invested with chameleons, and that just takes time. It really just takes time and constantly putting yourself out there so people get to know you and the chameleons. Let's see. As far as the Shamrock Project, how will you decide who gets your F1 babies? I haven't decided on a particular gauge that I would use. The thing is, if I go to plan, I will have a number of bloodlines, at least 2 bloodlines, and so my biggest danger is having too many and saturating the market. And so but I don't want to just spread them out to people who are casually interested in a new species they haven't heard of. And so I think what I will do is just continue talking about them on my live sessions. I'll do some videos through the magazine, the Chameleon Academy Journal, the top podcasts. And so the people who are invested in the Chameleon community, Chameleon Academy community, that tells me that they are serious about this. And I have gotten to know so many people through my outreaches, my personalized, through the lives and such. And so I would first go to those people and be interested in working with them and getting them set up. And after that, then I'll start spreading it out. But my important thing when I first start off is that I don't just shotgun these babies across anybody who is willing to pay for them, because that's a way for a lot of this to disappear. And that is not, my intention is not to just get rid of them. My intention is to build something with them. And so I will be looking for people who I have seen investing in learning about them over these next 18 months. Will you track genetics for the shamrocks as well? I will do some sort of tracking of genetics. I am hesitant to establish too much of a structure because of my experience with the Kenyan Xanth project, it just didn't work out. But there has to be some sort of tracking of the genetics so we can, make sure we don't inbreed. So I've been thinking about certain ideas, and I have a little bit of time, but there will be some tracking. And if I do create a bit of a personal collective of people who are working closely with me, and I'm not going to require that. For those of you who want to go at your own, hey, 2 thumbs up. But for those of you, well, okay, people like Eliza want to stay out of the public, but interested in small batch. I want to support that. I want to make that happen for the people who are interested in breeding, but don't want to deal as much with social media. And social media is it can be a real time suck and an emotional roller coaster. So I understand that, and I want to support the people who just want to stay out of the limelight and breed chameleons. That's like heaven to me to be able to do that. But here I am doing live shows.
All right, Bill. I got people in the hotel room calling me that I got to get back to Tinley. So I think I'm done for today.
All right, say goodbye to everybody, and I will continue.
See you, everyone.
I'm going to continue answering questions. Bye, Sean. Thank you very much for joining.
You're very welcome. I'm going to go back and try not to buy anything else except for a hingeback tortoise that I can lord over Tom.
All right, we'll see you. Let's see. Okay, Tom. This is an interesting. Trick is meeting those people in person. That's what we did with the Connexus working group. And then you have Zoom meetings. Okay, so that's something that I haven't considered, but that is a great idea. And so I don't have to think about it any longer. That is going to be part of anything I do. If I do, I will do a group that I work with, and that's a great idea, Tom. Thank you very much. Thank you for that idea. We have Facebook. Yeah, Facebook user, they don't let us know your name. So if you're on Facebook, go ahead and put your name in there. Yeah. So okay, Sarah's looking for a veil. Yeah, I always recommend. I always save back a veiled for Sarah. So. All right, everybody, we are coming to the end. We talked a lot about, this Kenyan Xanth project I've really enjoyed it. It was significant, although I wouldn't say that it was 100% successful in establishing the species. The lessons I learned from it were invaluable, and I'm applying it to the next time around. And so I think I am glad I did it. And a lot of people came away with a great education, learned more. And so it was enough of a success that it was worth doing. But let's see. So I'm going to go ahead and, hello, people. We've got a lot of people just joining right now. But so go ahead. Let's do maybe just a couple of questions before we sign off here. Hello, James from the UK. What questions should I have for my vet if I plan to breed? All right. So your vet probably isn't going to have much to do with your breeding project. That's what you want to kind of say hello to everybody? Everybody want to say hello to my daughter, Megan?
Hi.
This is who I watch Ahsoka with and all my Star Wars movies and One Piece and all that kind of stuff. Thank you for dropping by.
I'm going to go to D&D. Goodbye.
Oh, D&D. Thanks. All right. So you're probably not going to have much to do with the veterinarian if you want to breed chameleons. And if you're getting some shamrock chameleons from me after 18 months of husbandry, learning about husbandry and setting things up and being ready, you very likely won't have to have any interaction with your vet. Honestly, the truth is, almost every reason that chameleons go to the vet, it's because of a husbandry deficiency. Chameleons are incredibly hardy if they're given the conditions that they need. And you can very easily go your entire lifetime of your chameleon without going to the vet if you set them up correctly. And if you start off with a well-started captive hatched individual, you're set. So, things happen. Sometimes, even on the most healthy chameleon, they bite a cricket wrong and they get a spine in the mouth, and then they get an infection. That happens. And so, yeah, but that's going to be just a normal vet type visit. Hey, I've got an abscess. Can you pop it and give antibiotics? As simple as that. But with the captive hatched, you won't have much reason to go to the vet. So, hello, Clint from Pittsburgh. Where can I purchase a group if I'm serious about breeding? Clint, a group of what are you interested in? And the question is, what do you mean about serious about breeding? So there's a lot of different questions there. For someone who's serious about breeding, you probably should. I assume you have some sort of experience breeding, and you would know people. You know what? I'm going to have to ask for clarification as to a group of what and why are you serious about breeding. If you're looking for making money, then I'll go with Panther Chameleons and go with the absolute best genetics that you can find. That is the recipe for success on Panther Chameleons. And then refine your husbandry, refine it until it's like easy to do. And so that's it. Now, if you're talking about a more rare species, that starts to get more complicated, because then you start, if you're talking about the shamrock chameleons that we're talking about, I'm not going to have captive hatched available for another year and a half, assuming I'm successful this season in getting eggs. And there are some wild caught available, but that's up to you. So yes, I've got a lot to say about breeding groups, but I'll have to know a little bit more about your particular interests to give you specific advice that would be helpful for you. All right, everybody. It has been quite a day, and I'm going to get back to work here. I will be live again next Tuesday evening on Instagram at 5 p.m. Pacific, and I'd love to see you there. Let's see. Baby's going to eat your money, all of it. This is the truth of any breeding project. So this is why if you decide you're going to make a whole lot of money selling chameleons, because boy, they just pop out and I can sell them for $300, $400, $500 each. This is why that doesn't work. What's the best way to handle temperature in glass enclosure? Best way to handle temperature is not to put it in there to begin with. A glass enclosure, the benefit of a glass enclosure is it will take a little bit of humidity and keep it in. It'll take a little bit of heat and keep it in. And so the way to make sure that you don't have too much is you stop putting it in once you reach your goal. That of course is a very high level answer to that question. Hopefully that answers what you were trying to get at. Hello, Salty Carnivore. See you at the Nerf War. And are you going to be there, Eliza? Oh my goodness, that would be good to meet you. Yes, for everybody, I'm going to be, Clint's Reptiles. He's opening up his Reptarium, his reptile zoo store thing in Utah in 2 weeks. And I am going to be there. Is it 2 weeks? Yeah, it's 2 weeks, I think. In 2 weeks. And so I'm going to be there for the grand opening. And so if you all are in the area, you want to drop by and say hello to me, please do. He's packed. There's a lot of things planned, and there's tickets to be bought. I'm not sure the details on that, but there's a lot of things to be planned. And apparently there's a Nerf war where people are going to be shooting things at people. So, I guess I better stretch out before I show up. So, and then we have Tia's got her baby Jackson's chameleons. All of them seem growing great. 8 weeks at the moment. Congratulations. It is wonderful to have those and to have them growing healthfully. Healthfully. I guess that's it. So, all right. So I guess when I'm in closing, I'll say there's two things. First of all, I got you guys. We got a 10% discount off at The BioDude. If you want to go to thebiodude.com, type in Chameleon10 as a coupon code. You'll get 10% off. Got an affiliate relationship there, so I got you guys 10% off, and then I get credit, so I can buy more BioDude soil because I use a lot of that stuff. So that, and if you guys haven't seen the latest Chameleon Journal, it's a digital magazine specifically for Chameleon Academy, all the stuff going on in the Chameleon Academy. And so just go to chameleonacademy.com. It's right there on the front page, and you can click that. And if you want to, if you like that and you want to be informed as to whenever a new issue comes out, you can sign up for the Chameleon Academy newsletter, which right now I send it out once a month. So I'm not going to spam you with stuff. I'm only going to send things out when there's fun things to talk about. So let's see. Here's some information about the tickets. Got my tickets last night. The meet and greet was sold out. I have Nerf War tickets and the 5-hour. Wow. Okay. So you got tickets for the different events, huh? Okay. Well, you know what, Eliza Ann, we will honestly, yes. Okay. That won't be, we will find a time. There is, we will definitely find a time. So, I don't know if you ever, it's been said that if you do go to Starbucks and you sit down and you have an empty chair across from you and you put an iced coffee in front of that I will materialize. So, you can always try that. So anyway, I want to say, what carnivorous, this is a good question. Hey, come on. Where's my focus? What carnivorous plants would you recommend for a chameleon cage? Hey, come on. Say hello. Okay, it's not focusing on me. Nepenthes. Nepenthes Miranda, alata, or ventrata. Ventrata is what you usually find at Home Depots. The Venus flytraps, sundews, butterworts. You got to find the right ones that do good in your environment. But sundews are sticky, and a chameleon can just walk through it, mess up your plant. Venus flytraps. If your chameleon walks across it, it's like messing up your plants. And the thing is, with most of those low-lying carnivorous plants, you got to have them up by the light, and so it's kind of hard to get involved or to enjoy it and create a big chameleon enclosure and then have the carnivorous plants. So you have to arrange it so they are close to the lights. Now, I did that once. I had this shelf by the back of the cage with lights. So it was like 9 inches from the lights and the very powerful lights. And so they actually did well. Now, think about carnivorous plants, many of them, not all of them, many of them, like fly traps, a lot of the sundews, and definitely like some of the pitcher plants, the North American pitcher plants, they need a cold winter. They need a hibernation. And so you can't leave them in year round in the nice chameleon environment. You have to be able to take them out, put them in the refrigerator or whatever for a winter. And so Venus flytraps and sundews and like butterworts, those are difficult. You can do it in the chameleon cage, but it's a separate hobby that you're trying to fit into the same area. Nepenthes, tropical pitcher plants, on the other hand, fit right in. Obviously, you don't want that to put them in with a chameleon that could fall into the pitcher, so you got to judge the size. But my favorite is Nepenthes Miranda. That is my favorite tropical pitcher plant. That's where you have these big leaves, and at the end you have these pitchers hanging. That is the best. Those are the three species or varieties that do well in the chameleon cage environment. Most Nepenthes tropical pitcher plants are either highland, which is too cold for the chameleon, or lowland, which is too hot for the chameleon. And so there's just a couple of species right in the middle, or varieties. These are varieties because they're crosses that will work well in a chameleon cage. And that's Miranda, Alata, and Ventrata. I'm sure there's others, but those are the ones that are generally available. So Lesanne says Starbucks it is. Oh my goodness. Yes. So yeah, you get a grande iced coffee with classic sweetener, but no cream or milk. You just put that in front of an empty chair. And it's like, no matter where I am, it's just, I just get pulled through space-time and I plop down on that chair. That's the way you summon a Bill Strand. Okay. I don't make the rules. I'm just part of the universe. So, all right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me here. Doing this is so much fun because you got a community. It's so much fun with the community. It's great to see all of you talking. And of course, we get our update about Tia's babies, baby Jacksons. And so it's great having you. We love this. And I say sign up for the newsletter and use Chameleon10 at thebiodude.com. So I'm just scared about putting any in because I'm thinking about breeding chameleons and heard someone say that 5 babies fell in their Nepenthes traps. Yeah, you don't want to put carnivorous plants in with babies. That would be I would agree with that. Don't do that. There's no reason to do that. Oh, yeah, don't. So, Aaron, I will read. Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's the magic. All right, everybody. I'll see you later.